Action.
The beginning of Christianity. The foundation of Christianity began in Rome. The Roman nations founded the first church, of whom crucified Jesus of Nazareth for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law.
Now, right there, we're talking about in our first chapter 46, first verse. It's talking about Rome was the first one to found the first church. So now these Christians, how they follow Christianity, but right here in our most holy Quran, it says that Rome found the first church. And these are the people that crucified Jesus of Nazareth,
Islam.
So now, when you understand that, that's one of the first things that makes you wonder, like, why are we following Christianity? Why are we following the most popular one, the Roman Catholic Church? And they was the ones that crucified Jesus. And also, why did they do this? We go into key 28. Why did Allah send Jesus to this earth to save the Israelites from the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nation of Europe, who was governing a portion of Palestine at that time? So now, they crucified him because pretty much he was upset in the ways. He was going against what they was doing. They had a rule of the people, so he came and he started to stir up the people. He came to save the lost sheep of Israel. And of course, they had to get rid of him. But now, going back to Christmas, before we even go to what it is now, I'm going to say the prophet said to study the Bible. So now we have to go into the Bible. Just like our Grand Sheik taught us here, just like when you read a more short Quran, you look at the names, these places, and then you get more in tune. You get more of an understanding. So now, let's go to a biblical figure. Matter of fact, let's go to Genesis 10, verses 8 to 10.
Genesis 10, verses 8 to 10. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
Appreciate it. Now right there, this of course is the biblical figure described as a king in the land of Shinar. Now of course, when you look on the map, whatever, you understand that Shinar, that's over there what we call like Mesopotamia right now. Well, excuse me, in biblical times, pardon me. Now one thing I want to point out right there is Nimrod. So I'm going to go into a little bit of Nimrod and see what was going on back then, and then see how it flipped to today. Now of course, Nimrod, of course, as he mentioned, is the son of Cush, which is the son of Ham, and of course, the son of Noah. So he's Noah's great-grandson. Did I say that right? Great-grandson. Right. But now also, if you go into the Bible, whatever, it doesn't speak about Nimrod that much. That's why we got to go out of it, because we don't just stick to one book. Sometimes we got to look into other things, and then we got to be able to tie this into our own studies.
Islam.
Now, outside the biblical narrative, Nimrod is associated with the Tower of Babel, which gave him the reputation as being rebellious against God. So, get myself together right here. Because right now I'm going to tie it into like how from from biblical times to up to now, how Christmas and all this ties in. Matter of fact, even before part of it, this right here, pardon me. This right here is called the ancient book of Jashar. And the Jashar, it actually means the upright one. It means upright, straightforward type person. It's mentioned 3 times in the Bible, referenced in Joshua, 2 Samuel, and in 2 Timothy. So now the reason, here you go. The Bible itself, like I said, is divinely inspired by God. But the book of Joshua is more historical. It goes from the creation, it goes up to, I believe, like Exodus, maybe a little bit after, I'm not sure. But it's more historical, so that's why I said it's not divinely inspired by the Most High, whatever. So that's one of the books that they took out, along with many other books. But now, like I said, this is more of a historical. I'm not saying you're going to use this in a scholastic debate or whatever, but this is just a little something for you to know, something to put on your mind. Islam?
Islam.
Yeah, start from 20.
And Cush, the son of Ham, the son of Noah, took a wife in those days in his old age, and she bare a son, and they called his name Nimrod, saying at that time, the sons of men again began to rebel and transgress against God. And the child grew up, and his father loved him exceedingly, for he was the son of his old age.
Right there, one of the things about this book, the book of Yashar, it goes into a little bit more detail. Like I said, in Nimrod in the Bible, he's mentioned a few times, but they don't really go into detail. That's why you got to go to other sources, do your own research, and add on. Now, right there, that's just another example of how Nimrod was born. But now, before the next verse, it goes into the story of but the story of the cloth when Adam and Eve, when they found out they was naked and they put some cloth on. According to the book of Yashar, like this cloth that was worn by Adam was passed down from generation to generation. And Cush gave it to Nimrod. And now once Nimrod put this on, he started to become like a mighty man. So now here you go into 30 to 33.
And Nimrod became strong when he put on the garments, and God gave him might and strength. And he was a mighty hunter in the earth. Yea, he was a mighty hunter in the field, and he hunted the animals, and he built altars, and he offered upon them the animals before the Lord. And Nimrod strengthened himself, and he rose up from amongst his brethren, and he fought the battles of his brethren against all their enemies round about.
So now right there it's showing that once he put on the cloth that was supposedly worn by Adam, and you see he was building altars, he was making sacrifices, because that's what they was doing at the time. Pretty much he was following the ways of the Most High. And because he was following the ways of the Most High, you see he became strong, he became a mighty warrior.
Islam.
And the Lord delivered all the enemies of his brethren in his hands, and God prospered him from time to time in his battles, and he reigned upon earth. Therefore it became current in those days, when a man ushered forth those that he had trained up for battle, he would say to them, like God did to Nimrod, who was a mighty hunter in the earth, and who succeeded in the battles that prevailed against his brethren, that he delivered them from the hands of their enemies. So may God strengthen us and deliver us this day.
Islam. So right there, he got so mighty that whenever people would train other people, they want them to be like Nimrod. He's the man. He's following the ways of the Most High. He's a mighty man. He's building altars. And again, at that time, they're making sacrifices. According to them, he was following all the laws of the Most High. But now, like I said, things at the while starts to change. Now you go to 43. Probably the next page.
And they found a large valley opposite to the east, and they built him a large and extensive city. And Nimrod called the name of the city that he built Shinar, for the Lord had vehemently shaken his enemies and destroyed them.
Of course, now you have to look up Shinar, and then you find out it's mentioned 8 times in the Bible, in which it refers to Babylonia. So that's what we call it Babylon. People like now, like, oh, wicked Babylon, all this and that. This goes back to the beginning of that,
Islam.
So now, like I said, now if you go into the Bible, it's mentioned 8 times, but he'll say you got to do your own research and start piecing it together. Matter of fact, you get a chance. Go to Genesis 11:2. Let's keep that page and we'll come back to it. Now, right here, now I'm bouncing back. I'm using these 2 books or whatever. I'm trying to lay the foundation of what was going on during biblical times, and we'll bring it back to today. Genesis 11:2.
And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there.
Now, of course, now we go into, when you look up more about Shinar, Shinar is enclosed a plain that became the site of the Tower of Babel. after the great flood. Now, if you know about the Tower of Babel, this is when a king built a tower supposedly to reach God. But of course, now the God came and was like, "No, you can't do that. It would knock it down," as they said, smoke it. But after the flood, the sons of Shem, Ham, and Japheth stayed in the highlands of Armenia, which is now considered Turkey, near the border of Iran and Mount Ararat. Then migrated to Shinar. So now, if you go in the biblical text, after the flood, Noah's Ark, according to the biblical narrative, Noah's Ark landed in Mount Ararat. So now, of course, you got to look up Mount Ararat, see where that is. Of course, that'd be like we call Armenia today. Of course, Turkey, and again, of course, on the border of Iran. And then from there, some maps say that they walked, they migrated a little bit, and then you see there's a river that will come all the way down, that will lead into the Euphrates. And of course, the bottom of the Euphrates, before it hits, I believe it was the Persian Gulf, there's a lot of cities set up. But of course, it's the Fertile Crescent, as we was taught in school. Now, their descendants, they came there. And of course, now Nimrod, he was mighty in the land. So of course, he was building a civilization. So whenever you hear about a good civilization, everything going on, everybody want to go there, they want to migrate. But also, Shinar is also mentioned in Genesis, Joshua, Isaiah, Daniel, Zechariah. But then some of the time it's used as a synonym for Babylonia. Now you can go in 41.
And he placed Terah, the son of Nahor, the prince of his host, and he dignified him and elevated him above all his princes.
Now, who's Terah?
Terah.
And who's Nahor? He's the son of Nahor. Who's Terah?
Islam.
Go ahead. Give you praise. Give you honors.
Rise to my highest heights, giving proper praise to Father God Allah. I give honors to all divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, and the prophet in these last days and time, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Name is Jeffrey Ron Gideon. I greet you in peace.
Peace.
Terah is Abraham's father?
Islam.
You got it, man? I was in between Moses and Abraham, so I wanted to get it right.
Oh,
I didn't want to look left.
Man.
I didn't want to look left, you know.
Now, okay, yes. So Terah is the son of Noah. So now right there, matter of fact, even before this, let's go into Genesis 11:27. Got you bouncing back and forth, man. Keep you busy today, man. Keep you on your toes, man. Keep you on your toes. Genesis 11:27. Like I said, again, I'm just tying this all together. So, like I said, hopefully give you a little something to talk about when people like Merry Christmas and you're around your family celebrating the holidays.
Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot.
I forgot about Lot. It's also the father of Lot, too.
Oh yeah, got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Who's Lot?
Huh?
Who's Lot?
Lot is the nephew of Abraham.
Okay. And who else? What else he known for?
For Sodom and Gomorrah.
And what else he known for? There you go.
Oh yeah. I'm overthinking right now.
I'm gonna leave you alone.
Nah, don't.
But also, like I said, now I'm just placing in order. So now, also, there's another book that was deleted from the Bible. It's called the Book of Jubilees. Again, like I said, this is not something that you can go around using in scholastic debate, but just a little something. Nimrod, as being the father of Azarad, the wife of Eber, and the mother of Peleg. Nimrod is the ancestor of Abraham, of course, who was the ancestor, who was the father of the Hebrews. But now there, you can go into 44 to 47, in the book of Joshua.
That book said that he's an ancestor of Abraham.
Yeah. Yeah, it says it's saying because he's the father of Azarad. Hopefully I'm saying that Azarad, and Azarad is the wife of Eber. Because when you go in there, when it goes into the generations, I believe it's in Genesis 10, it mentions Eber, but it never said who his wife is in King James version. I know, that's why I said this is not something I'll be using in a scholastic debate. This is something I just came across and put it out there. That's why I was like, no, disclaimer, don't use this in a scholastic debate. But it's just something I came across and I was just sharing.
And Nimrod dwelt in Shinar, and he reigned securely, and he fought with his enemies, and he subdued them. And he prospered in all his battles, and his kingdom became very great. And all the nations and tongues heard of his fame, and they gathered themselves to him. And they bowed down to the earth, and they brought him offerings, and he became their Lord and King. And they all dwelt with him in the city of Shinar. And Nimrod reigned in the earth over all the sons of Noah, and they were all under his power and counsel. And all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. But Nimrod did not go in the ways of the Lord. And he was more wicked than all the men that were before him, from the days of the flood until those days. And he made gods of wood and stone, and he bowed down to them. And he rebelled against the Lord, and taught all his subjects and the people of the earth his wicked ways. And Mardon, his son, was more wicked than his father.
Islam. So right there, it's showing that he was so mighty. Just like I said before, even the sons of Noah, how their descendants, they all came down there because it was building a great civilization. Everybody, of course, it's hot civilization. It's on the rise or whatever. People was migrating to it. Now he became mightier, and of course, the power started to come to him. But now, you see right there, he went off the path. Instead of building altars to the Most High, he started building woods and having people worshiping other things. Basically idolatry. And we know throughout the Bible, throughout the Moorish Quran or whatever, we don't deal with idolatry. Islam. But he got so much power that it just went to his head. To the point now he's like, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do. Now, even here in Flavius Josephus, in the Antiquity of the Jews, he writes, now it was Nimrod who excited them, meaning the people, to such an affront and contempt of God. He was the grandson of Ham, the son of Noah, a bold man and a great strength of hand, meaning he was a warrior. He was doing this thing on the battlefield. He persuaded them not to ascribe to God, as it was through his means that they were unhappy. So now he got so much power, he's starting to tell the people, like, yo, you don't have to believe in the Most High, but yo, it's you, man. You don't worry about him. Don't look up to the sky or look within the others. How we say honor man honor man, honor Allah. He was on against all that. But to believe that it was their own courage which procured this happiness. I'm trying to say it's not God, it's you. You did this. You made this happen. But we all know that all comes from the Most High, Islam. He also gradually changed the government into tyranny, seeing no other way of turning men from the fear of God, but to bring them into the constant dependence upon his power. So now he's changing, like, don't believe in God, don't even fear God, you just fear me because I'm the power. But what's our Moorish Holy Quran says about power? It's nothing but illusion. That's an illusion. So now he's putting an illusion over the people that he's in power, that he's running things. But it made people forget about the force, what we call Allah.
Islam.
He also said he will be revenged on God. If he should have a mind to drown the world again, for that he would build a tower too high for the waters to be able to reach. And he would avenge himself on God for destroying his forefathers. So now he got in his mind that, okay, if a flood comes again, we're going to be ready. We're going to build a tower so high, whatever, that the waters ain't going to be able to touch us. We know what's going to happen when man goes against God. You're not going to win. Everything that happens is because of the Most High.
Islam.
Everything is a test for you if you fail that test. So now God put him in a position to have this power, this quote unquote power to be king, the mighty ruler and all this and that. But now he's like, oh, forget God. So it was a test. You failed, because now you fall off the path. They said when you give a person power and wealth, then you really see who they really are. So, and as we see here, his wickedness is really coming out to the point you think he's going to go up against God's words. But now I just want to lay that foundation about Nimrod. So now we're going to fast forward a little bit, because now you give you the understanding that how Babylon was a wicked place. And it wasn't just with Nimrod, after his descendants and all that. You see, it said even the son was more wicked than him. And this stuff started passing on down and down, so to the point that Babylon became a wicked area. So now fast forward to the Babylonian captivity, because as also throughout the Bible, whatever, the Hebrews, they transgressed, they had to pay the price. Now there before they transgressed, I mean, I'm here at this time, they got caught up in the middle of a war, around 605 before the Christian era, after the battle of Carchemish, the kingdom of Judah was taken into captivity. Now, when they was taken into captivity, a lot of them was taken over there to Babylon. So, of course, now when you in Babylon, sometimes you gotta know what you try to stick to your ways or whatever. But sometimes, some people take on the ways of other pagan nations. Now, that you could read about that. Well, it's a lot, but you go into Jeremiah 46, it starts off about that. No, we don't have to go in there now. But the battle of Carchemish was fought between Egypt with remnants of the Assyrian Empire. But now you understand, this is the fall of the Assyrian Empire before the Babylonian Empire rises up. And Babylonia with Medes, Persians, and Scythians. These are so-called nomad tribes around from the Middle East. Not Middle East. Central Asia. Now, it's so much about this in the captivity in the Bible that the key people in the Bible is Ezekiel, Daniel, Jeremiah, Ezra, Nehemiah. Read about Nebuchadnezzar, Zedekiah. These are all people, they all have stories about when Babylon was in captivity. After the fall of Babylon by the Persian king Cyrus the Great in 539 BCE, so from 605 to 539, they was in captivity. It didn't happen in just one wave. It was several waves that when they came in, they started snatching up people and took them back to Babylon. But back in 539 BCE, the exiled Judeans was permitted to return to Judah. Not all returned, many stayed outside of Judah. So this is one of the first ones where people outside of Judah they stayed where they was at. So now you have Jews, so-called Jews, Hebrews, all of them, all throughout Babylonia. And even when the war happened, a lot of them went to Moab. They spread out through all, even down to Egypt, Arabia. So it was all spread out all over the place. And a lot of them they chose, like, I'm good here. I'm going to stay here. But now Ezra, he deals more with the construction of the second temple in Jerusalem, which began in 537 BCE. If you go to Ezra 1, verses 1 through 4. Like I said, it's a lot within the Bible, but like I said, these are the key people. Again, you read Ezekiel, Daniel, Jeremiah, Ezra, Nehemiah, Zedekiah, and this will give you an idea of what was going on during Babylonian captivity, before and a little bit after. Ezra, first chapter, verses 1 through 4.
Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, Thus saith Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he hath charged me to build him an house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Who is there among you of all his people? His God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of the Lord God of Israel, which is in Jerusalem. And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth, let the men of his place help him with silver and with gold, and with goods and with beasts, beside the freewill offering for the house of God that is in Jerusalem.
So right there, now Ezra, he just going into when he came back, how they about to rebuild the temple. So to rebuild the temple, you had to understand how the temple originally was, and you had to understand the customs. So there was, even though it was in Babylonia, there was people who kept the customs. And they had it on their mind that when we get back to our homeland, this is the custom that we was doing before, and we're going to keep them when we get back there, Islam.
Islam.
They didn't fall victim to the pagan ways of the Babylonian Empire. Just like even here, what we do, and so we dig through the illusion, whatever, we give you the truth, whatever, so people don't get caught up in the ways of the world. Islam?
Islam.
Now, Ezekiel and his wife, they lived during the Babylonian captivity on the banks of Chabar River with others from Judah. Ezra, of course, as we just read, led a group of Judeans living in Babylon to the home city of Jerusalem. Nehemiah and Ezra reestablished civil and religious order of Jerusalem, consistent casting out foreign influences and purifying the city for the Judean return from exile. So now, pretty much like I said right there, they purified it, like, let's get rid of these bad habits, let's get rid of the way, let's take it back to the way we was doing it, Islam.
Islam.
But now, let's get to this nice verse right here that I'm sure we know about. Jeremiah 10, verses 1 through 5. Okay, now this is an example of how, now, of course, the prophets, we all know what is a prophet. A prophet called the law manifested in the flesh. What is the duty of a prophet? To uplift only humanity. Right? Jeremiah 10, 1 through 5. Now, before we get this, this is why I just want to lay that foundation of what was going on. And now, of course, because in this book there's lessons. So now I'm going to fast forward. Right now we're talking about Jeremiah. Now we're going to fast forward to this. 10, verse 1 through 5.
Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe.
So right there, you see, he said, don't follow the ways of the heathens. So right there, you see part of it. He said right there, don't follow the ways of the heathen. Their customs, it's in vain. You're wasting your time. It got nothing to do with it. Pretty much, that's like we would call it illusion right there. They're separating you. Just like in our first chapter, how you based ourselves, you separate ourselves from the Most High. This is what Babylon did to a lot of the people. So now, here Jeremiah is like, yo, don't get caught up in their ways, whatever. Come back. What is a heathen? A heathen is someone that goes against the word, the ways of the Most High. Finish up.
They deck it with silver and with gold, and they fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not, they must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good.
So right there, he's talking about don't follow their ways, because it's not in these people to do good. But the main part I want you to get out there, how it said right there, not to take a tree and cut it and use the hammers and all that and fix it in a fixed spot. Paraphrasing it. But it said not to adorn it with ornaments. Right? Now, this is funny because, like I said, I was at a couple of weeks ago, I was at somebody's house, chilling in the living room. Of course, they got a tree up. And of course, this person like, oh, they go to church and all this and that. Of course, I had to bring it up. It's like, you're not supposed to have a tree up. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Your own book says you're not supposed to chop a tree down and adorn it with ornaments. You don't know what you're talking about. You got your Bible? Yeah, I got my Bible right here. Go to Jeremiah 10. Read what it says. And the person sitting there like I said, the people, these Christians,
They don't care.
no. Because I bet you that tree's still there.
They go through that initial wow, and it's like, I don't care, they gonna still do it. They don't do that to me.
Yeah, I bet you that tree is still there. I'm sure. I'm not a betting person, but I'll guarantee you, I bet that tree is still there. But right there, it says that, it's in the book. Christians follow this book. They said, right here it says, don't follow the ways of the nation, don't cut down the tree. But now even so with the goods, because the pagan ways, because now if you remember many demonstrations ago, when you go into the original, like in the book of Judges, where I forgot what's his name, Jeroboam, when he had cut down some trees, that was, they switched the name, because that's really like, those people who's worshiping Asherah. It was one of the things that was symbol of tree, the goddess Asherah. So right there, while you worshiping that tree, you worshiping another god. Now right there, like I said, you see before Nimrod, how he went from building altars and sacrificing to he started doing the things with woods and stones and all this. Put them on this heathen path. But again, like I said, so now that's why I just wanted to build up that foundation where it went. So now when you hear something about Babylon, and now you hear how it's in the book or whatever, not to take on the ways of these pagan nations, but now let's fast forward. Of course, now Jeremiah says, don't cut out a tree, adorn it with ornaments. That's not our custom. But nowhere else in the Bible, you look throughout the Bible, nowhere does it say that you should do that. So now, let's fast forward a little bit to this thing that we would call Christmas. Because, just that time of year, everybody be like, Merry Christmas. Not everybody. A lot of people like Merry Christmas. Now they're being politically correct. Happy holidays. This and that. And now they're switching it up. Because why? They said that's when Jesus was born.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's look up some of these things here. A popular myth puts his birth at December 25th in the year 1 CE, Christian era. The New Testament gives no date or year of Jesus' birth. The earliest gospel, St. Mark's, written in about 65 CE, begins with the baptism of the adult Jesus. Now, that's another reason right there why we got to go into the Moorish Quran. It's the missing 18 years of Jesus' life, right?
It's long.
Now, right there, you go into that, like, what do you mean? And then, of course, those went to the Bible, like, he was a man. He was at the temple, disputing with the doctors, laws of law, whatever. And then he disappeared and became a man. Now, that's right there. That's when you come. It's on you to go up there and bring out that small sword of the Quran. That's the missing 18 years of Jesus Christ's life. That's what a lot of these Christians, they're missing. They don't know about that. Begins with the baptism of adult Jesus. This suggests that the earliest Christians lacked interest or knowledge of Jesus' birth. So even now, after 65 CE, they don't know when this man was born. But yet, today they know, no, he's born December 25th. Yeah? Let's go, let's see how that came about. Let's see what time. Oh yeah, we got time. All right, we might as well read this. I think, yeah, you can read this. Start off with C.
Say, as long say ignorance is
Bliss.
ignorance is not seeking the truth, and also is ignoring the truth. It's ignorance.
The year of Jesus' birth was determined by Dionysius Exiguus, a Scythian monk, abbot of a Roman monastery. His calculation went as...
So now right there, a Roman monk. Right there in our most holy ground, the first thing we started with, Rome was the one that crucified him. Mm-hmm. They started the first church. So now it's on them to be like, he was born here.
His calculation went as follows. In the Roman pre-Christian era, years were counted from Ab Urbe Condita, the founding of the city, Rome. Thus, 1 AUC signifies the year Rome was founded. 5 AUC signifies the 5th year of Rome's reign, etc. Dionysius received a tradition that the Roman Emperor Augustus reigned 43 years and was followed by the Emperor Tiberius. Luke chapter 3, 1 and 23 indicates that when Jesus turned 30 years old, it was the 15th year of Tiberius' reign. If Jesus was 30 years old in Tiberius' reign, then he lived 15 years under Augustus, placing Jesus' birth in Augustus' 28th year of reign. Augustus took power in 727 AUC. Therefore, Dionysius put Jesus' birth in 754 AUC. However, Luke chapter 1, verse 5 places Jesus' birth in the days of Herod, and Herod died in 750 AUC, 4 years before the year in which Dionysius places Jesus' birth.
So now right there, I just want to run through all that, pretty much to say, they have no idea when this man was born. All these, hundreds of years later, they're debating on when this man was born. They have no idea when this man was born. But yet here it is in 2019, you ask a person, when was Jesus born? December 25th? December 25th? Again, we're going to go into like how they lead up to this.
Joseph A. Fitzmyer, Professor Emeritus of Biblical Studies at the Catholic University of America, member of the Pontifical Biblical Commission, and former president of the Catholic Biblical Association, writing in the Catholic Church's official commentary on the New Testament, writes about the date of Jesus' birth. Though the year of Jesus' birth is not reckoned with certainty, the birth...
So now right there, this man has all these titles and all this and that. He's high ranking and all this and this studies. They don't know when the man was. Even he doesn't know when this man was born.
Though the year of Jesus' birth is not reckoned with certainty, the birth did not occur in AD 1.
Say that part.
The birth did not occur in AD 1.
So that's what we based our. Now right there, we base our calendar off of when this man was born. Christian, this is what we go by. So according to the Christians, the way we've been taught, a lot of us been taught, 2019 years ago, supposedly this man known as Jesus Christ was born. But right here now, all these scholars, they debating for hundreds of years or whatever, they don't know when it is. They don't know when this man was born. So now it makes you think, like, what calendar we following? You don't know the date that he was born, so now we don't even know what year it really is.
Islam.
Islam?
At my job, it's a lot of them that celebrate Christmas, but they don't even discuss as far as it was Jesus' birthday because it's kind of like dying out. Like, yeah.
That's how you go from Merry Christmas to Happy Holidays.
Yeah, that's basically they like even a lot of Europeans like that question came up.
Yeah.
Jesus wasn't born. They telling their other European friends like he wasn't born on that day. You have a few that's like 60 or like 50 something. They Roman Catholic. They like Christmas is Christ's Day. Christmas got Christ at Christmas.
Again, you already know. I'm going to show you around what it says about the Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Christian era, supposed to have its starting point in the year of Jesus' birth, is based on a miscalculation introduced ca. 533 by Dionysius Exiguus. The De Pascha Computus, an anonymous document believed to have been written in North Africa around 243 CE, placed Jesus' birth on March 28. Clement, a bishop of Alexandria, 215 CE, thought Jesus was born on November 18. Based on historical records, Fitzmyer guesses that Jesus' birth occurred on September 11, 3 BCE.
So now right here, now Jesus was born in the land of Canaan, in Israel, in Jerusalem. But now you got people discussing his birth in Rome. You got people discussing his birth in North Africa, and they have no idea what's going on. But again, you ask someone today out here in the street, what they're going to tell you. Now, what part you up to? Okay, now we're going to get into the good part. Like I said, we get rid of the illusions, and now we get down to the truth about the December 25th.
How did Christmas come to be celebrated on December 25th? Roman pagans first introduced the holiday of Saturnalia, a week-long period of lawlessness celebrated between December 17th to the 25th. During this period, Roman courts were closed, and Roman law dictated that no one could be punished for damaging property or injuring people during the week-long celebration.
Right here, a week long, from the 17th to the 25th. Courts is closed. Pretty much, yo, wild out. Do whatever you want to do. Just like that movie Purge, right? So you see, now you thought so. A lot of people saw Purge, like, oh yeah, that's crazy, whatever. These people was actually doing it. A week long. Can you imagine what would happen to society? A week long, like, yo, do what you like, man. The courts is closed, you can do whatever. Man, you injuring people, but you know, it was killing people. That neighbor you never liked or whatever, he got his grass grow better than yours or whatever, his wife look better than you, whatever. Lawlessness. Like I said, these people have no morals or whatever. But these are the people who tell us how to live. Now right here, now when you understand their nature, which is naturally the lower self, why are we following our lower self?
The festival began when Roman authorities chose an enemy of the Roman people to represent the Lord of Misrule. Each Roman community selected a victim whom they forced to indulge in food and other physical pleasures throughout the week.
Not every state, not every country, every little community. They pick someone, you know what? You the one. Fatten them up. Stuff them full of food. And then it said, what is it? Physical pleasures with them? Come on now. You can only imagine what's going on. Rome. A week long. Physical pleasures. It's sickness, man. But then now this is what they was doing on December 25th. This was the end of this celebration. But now how they switched it to something what it is today.
At the festival's conclusion, December 25th, Roman authorities believed they were destroying the forces of darkness by brutally murdering this innocent man or woman.
Islam. Brutally murdered.
Jesus to the cross, an innocent man.
Islam?
Jesus on the cross is an innocent man.
Exactly, right? Jesus was an innocent man. They crucified him, but they got all this lawlessness going on. But again, like I said, just to get into I want people to understand how wicked these people are. Like I said, we go into their own history. Now it said a week of lawlessness, you destroy property, they fatten you up, physical pleasures. And then you see right there, they said a man or woman. A man or woman, they just wild out. All types of physical, sexual deviancy going on. And then they said also each community. You can only imagine how every little community, you figure, man, nowadays, you figure every little couple of blocks or whatever. You know what, yo, that's that dude, I ain't like him before, y'all, let's pick him, whatever. You get the whole crowd to go against you. Maybe I could be an innocent person, like, yo, what, huh? You could be a female, yo, she look good, and all this and that. Yo, let's pick her. Madness. Lawlessness.
The ancient Greek writer, poet, and historian Lucian, in his dialogue entitled Saturnalia, describes the festival's observance in his time. In addition to human sacrifice, he mentions these customs: widespread intoxication, going from house to house while singing naked, rape and other sexual license, and consuming human-shaped biscuits. Human-shaped biscuits.
What is that?
Still produced in some English and most German bakeries during the Christmas season. Sounds like.
Catch me if you can, like the gingerbread man. Human biscuits, man. But you see also the human sacrifices. It's like, yo, we're just gonna pick a person, kill him, and they slept good. Widespread intoxication. So once you intoxicated, your mind ain't thinking right. So now right there, just like you said, you give a person money or power, whatever, when they're intoxicated, then you're gonna really see what's really on their mind, what's on their heart, huh? Exactly. So nowadays, you just watch the movies, you see people, oh, let's go caroling and all this and that. They still keeping a tradition, but they used to be doing this naked. And I don't know, I've never been to Rome, whatever, but around December, I think it's kind of cold to be roaming around out here singing naked. I mean, come on, I don't know, maybe it's me, I fit that description, I'm a tropical people, whatever. Listen. Maybe, hey, I don't know, maybe, but I know me. If I had it in my world, man, below 50, you wouldn't even see me.
Sunday?
That's with clothes on. But you see how they switch things. Now let's go caroling and everything. They make it all nice and everything's all good. Oh, let's go bake some gingerbread cookies and make little stories about it that we tell our children and all this and that. And then now we go to where it really came from. That's based off of it started off. Now we got the gingerbread man, but it started off like human sacrifices. And we know even when the Europeans, when they came over here to this land, whatever, even in the 1800s, they was eating each other. Wintertime come or whatever. Once spring come, hey, where's Mrs. Jones? She went away. Come on now. See, you know how they was doing right there. They probably eating grog too. So, go ahead.
In the 4th century CE, Christianity imported the Saturnalia festival, hoping to take the pagan masses in with it. Christian leaders succeeded in converting to Christianity large numbers of pagans by promising them that they could continue to celebrate the Saturnalia as Christians.
So now what the Christians do? They ain't say, yo, stop that wickedness, stop what you're doing. It's just like, come on in. Call yourself a Christian, but you can still do that. You can still have this lawlessness wild out for the whole week. You can still do that. But, just start calling yourself Christians now. Now, you know what I'm saying? Those of you who already know, whatever, you read the more Holy Quran and how some of that stuff started making so much more sense. Islam. This is why the prophet is a prophet. And I'm talking about Noble Jew Ali. Islam.
The problem was that there was nothing intrinsically Christian about Saturnalia. To remedy this, these Christian leaders named Saturnalia's concluding day December 25th to be Jesus' birthday.
Islam. So right there, you see all this wildness. So now they were like, you know what? And before we had all these scholars, we don't know when this man was born. We have no idea. But now we're trying to get all these pagans in. So we're trying to bring them in. So now what we're going to do, whatever, we'll bring them in, but now we're going to slowly kind of switch them. Oh yeah, December 25th? Yeah, that's when Jesus was born. But they already proved. Their own scholars say, we don't know when he was born.
Christians had little success, however, refining the practices of Saturnalia. As Stephen Nissenbaum, professor history at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, writes, in return for ensuring massive observance of the anniversary of the Savior's birth by assigning it to this resonant date, the Church, for its part, tacitly agreed to allow the holiday to be celebrated more or less the way it had always been.
That right there. Now you bring them in, they're going to try to convert them. These people wasn't converted because they're living like savages and doing stuff like this. You're savage. And after our church is like, whatever, let them keep on doing their thing, man. The church, Christians, early Christians say, let them keep on doing this Saturnalia. Go on.
The earliest Christmas holidays were celebrated by drinking, sexual indulgence, singing naked in the streets, a precursor of modern caroling, etc. The Reverend Increase Mather of Boston observed in 1687 that the early Christians who first observed the Nativity on December 25th did not do so thinking that Christ was born in that month, but because the heathens' Saturnalia was at that time kept in Rome, and they were willing to have those pagan holidays metamorphosed into Christian ones. Because of its known pagan origin, Christmas was banned by the Puritans, and its observance was illegal in Massachusetts between 1659 and 1681.
So now right there, even early Christians, those who came over here, they was like, oh, we're not with that. They banned Christmas, what we call Christmas. Why? Because they know the origin of it. It's like, we ain't getting down like that. That was over there. We over here in the new land. So we're going to try something different.
However, Christmas was and still is celebrated by most Christians. Some of the most depraved customs of the Saturnalia Carnival were intentionally revived by the Catholic Church in 1466 when Pope Paul II, for the amusement of his Roman citizens, forced Jews to race naked through the streets of the city. An eyewitness account reports, before they were to run, the Jews were richly fed so as to make the race more difficult for them and at the same time more amusing for spectators. They ran amid Rome's taunting shrieks and peals of laughter, while the Holy Father stood upon a richly ornamented balcony and laughed heartily.
So now right there, now he's the Pope. This is the top of the chain, top of the Christian chain. Here it says it takes the Jews, but this is what year it said, 62? 1466. Here they say Jews. Moors, we was in there. We was in there. So, and we already know that a lot of these so-called Jews, whatever, not the ones that you see today. So now right here, now you can kind of get a connection to how the Christianity was teaching those or treating those outside of Christianity. Again, this is top of the Christian, feeding people, having them run naked, get drunk as amusement, while he's sitting there nice, adoring, laughing. And then wait these people being humiliated and abused.
As part of the Saturnalia Carnival throughout the 18th and 19th centuries CE, rabbis of the ghetto in Rome were forced to wear clownish outfits and march through the city streets to the jeers of the crowd, pelted by a variety of missiles. When the Jewish community of Rome sent a petition in 1836 to Pope Gregory XVI, begging him to stop the annual Saturnalia abuse of the Jewish community, he responded, "It is not opportune to make any innovation." On December 25, 1881, Christian leaders whipped the Polish masses into anti-Semitic frenzies that led to riots across the country.
Now right here, you said that was in 1835. They tried to write a letter, yo, please stop doing this. And of course, they was like, nah. But 1885, Jesus was born almost 2,000 years ago, supposedly. So now these early Christians from so-called early first century, they trying to debate. This is 1,000, over 1,800 years, they practices. And who knows how long they was doing it before then. And it's still, almost 1,800 years later, they still practicing it. To the point, they talk about the Jews, whatever, but again, like I said, Moors was in there too. Dark-skinned people. And of course, the Pope was like, nah, we're going to keep this going, man. Keep it moving. We having too much fun. But this is Christmas, December 25th.
In Warsaw, 12 Jews were brutally murdered.
Of course, that is a brief history of how it came to December 25th. Let you know the largest, the wickedness that was going on. So now we're talking about, Jesus was born on December 25th. Now you got something to stand on. Like, no, that's that pagan holiday with Saturnalia. You can go into how, and we already went into like how even their scholars said they don't know when Jesus was born. But now we also have other customs that come along with this holiday. So now we're going to go into like what brought upon these customs. How did it get from Saturnalia to the birth of Jesus Christ to what we have right now? Because of course, like right now, we went into Jeremiah. I said not to cut down a tree, but people are putting up these trees, they're buying gifts and all this and that. Let's go into that.
The origins of Christmas customs. The origin of Christmas tree. Just as early Christians recruited Roman pagans by associating Christmas with Saturnalia, so too worshippers of the Asherah cult and its offshoots were recruited by the church sanctioning Christmas trees. Pagans had long worshipped trees in the forest or brought them into their homes and decorated them.
Right there, he said the pagans long worship trees and forests. Now they go to Jeremiah, and like I said again, they say when you go into some of the early books when they talk about groves and all this, and they talking about the people worshiping trees. And again, we mentioned how Nimrod, how he started worshiping woods, how his people into idolatry, and stuff is still going on.
And this observance was adopted and painted with a Christian veneer by the church.
Say that part again.
And this observance was adopted and painted with a Christian veneer by the church.
Trees. And now Christians like, nah, you can take a tree, you cut it, put it in your house, and adorn them with ornaments. But right there, we already went into Jeremiah, said not to do that. Go ahead.
The origin of mistletoe.
Oh, man. Now we all heard about the mistletoe. Kiss under the mistletoe and all this and that. Let's go into that.
Norse mythology recounts how the god Baldur was killed using a mistletoe arrow by his rival god Hoder while fighting for the female Nanna. Druid rituals use mistletoe to poison their human sacrificial victim. The Christian custom of kissing under the mistletoe is a later synthesis of the sexual license of Saturnalia with the Druidic sacrificial cult.
So now right here, the mistletoe. So now we go into the history. Now right here it said it was a license. License right here with different contexts. But right here, freedom to act however you want. Now mistletoe, just real quick, it's a hemiparasitic plant. They attach to their host tree or shrub through which they extract water, nutrients from the host plant. Mistletoe is a vampire in the plants world. Whatever plant life it hooks on, it sucks all the water and energy out of it. It's a vampire.
The origin of Christmas presents. In pre-Christian Rome, the emperors compelled their most despised citizens to bring offerings and gifts during the Saturnalia in December and calends in January. Later, this ritual expanded to include gift giving among the general populace. The Catholic Church gave this custom a Christian flavor by rerooting it in the supposed gift giving of Saint Nicholas.
So now right there, this went into the mistletoe. As you can say, they was using it, it's poisonous. They was using it to kill people. To make human sacrifices. Put it on arrows. But then even though still, you see how it went back to Woden, which is a father of Thor, for those into that Marvel Universe stuff. And that right there, that's idolatry. But now they switched it up like, oh, kiss under the mistletoe. They switched everything up on it. But now right there, you see now the last part I went into, so now with gift giving, the Pope was like, yo, I don't like these people, whatever, yo, y'all gotta bring me a gift. That's your punishment. But now how the Christians, they flipped it to the Christmas time, so hey, we gotta give gifts. And look at the friends, we all know about so-called Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and all this. Now people wild out, they spending all this money. But now you go in these stores, people spending all this millions of dollars, you don't see nothing about happy birthday, Jesus. You don't see nothing about that. But yet, they want that money. Islam.
The origin of Santa Claus.
Let's go into Santa Claus, man. It's like, where did Santa Claus pop up? How did we get in? Now, we already went into the mistletoe. We went into how it got into December 25th. Now, let's get into the Santa Claus. How does Santa Claus come about? Go ahead.
Nicholas was born in Parara, Turkey in 270 CE and later became Bishop of Myra. He died in 345 CE on December 6th. He was only named a saint in the 19th century. Nicholas was among the most senior bishops who convened the Council of Nicaea in 325 CE and created the New Testament.
So right there it says this man was a saint till like 19th century? 18th century? 19th century. That means like 1800s. So all this time, this man wasn't even really a saint, considered a saint. But people was calling him Saint Nick and all this and that. Now this man sat on the Nicene Council, part of like how a lot of the customs that Christians follow today. He had something to do with it.
The text they produced portrayed Jews as the children of the devil, who sentenced Jesus to death. In 1087, a group of sailors who idolized Nicholas moved his bones from Turkey to a sanctuary in Bari, Italy. There, Nicholas supplanted a female boon-giving deity called the Grandmother or Pasqua Epiphania, who used to fill the children's stockings with her gifts.
So now right there, we're supposed to be celebrating the Most High, supposed to be celebrating the birth of, according to the Son of God, Jesus. But right there, now they switch it up right there. Not only we're going to take this man Bones, who's not even a saint, he just helped form the Christianity way of thinking, bring it over here to Italy, and now we're going to combine it with, as I said, a female deity. So now you worshiping somebody else. You're not worshiping the Most High. You're worshiping another deity. But yet they put this, they were trying to brainwash us with this. Let's go a little further about Saint Nick.
The grandmother was ousted from her shrine at Bari, which became the center of the Nicholas cult. Members of this group gave each other gifts during a pageant they conducted annually on the anniversary of Nicholas' death, December 6th. The Nicholas cult spread north until it was adopted by German and Celtic pagans. These groups worshipped a pantheon led by Woden, their chief god and the father of Thor, Balder, and Tiwa.
But now right here, now you see, now they brought the bones over to Italy. Now it starts spreading forth. It starts spreading further into the European nations, pale-skinned nations of Europe. And you see here how they call it a cult, passing gifts amongst each other. And you get to see how the wickedness is, and how they take these lies and illusions, and they try to imprint it on us.
Woden had a long white beard and rode a horse through the heavens one evening each autumn.
Whoa, wait. So now, Santa Claus, who ride through the sky, supposed to be dropping gift off to everybody through a chimney. We all know we live in New York City. Our folks don't really have a chimney, but yet we told him he's this man going to ride through the sky and drop gifts off to everybody. So now we already broke down the gifts. We already broke down the Saint Nick. He wasn't even a saint till like 1800s. They combined it, said it was a cult. It started spreading to the pagan nations and further north in Europe. But now they're saying when it went north, we go into Norse mythology again. We go to the Woden, the father of Odin. Now they're starting to make it look like how this guy looked. Old man with a beard. That's their part of their technology. See how they slowly over centuries they tricking us. Well, try to trick us.
When Nicholas merged with Woden,
So now they took Saint Nick, merged with a deity, a mythical god, Norse god.
he shed his Mediterranean appearance.
Mediterranean appearance. So a Mediterranean appearance. What do you think he looked like? You think he looked more like what we see, what they image that they put, or you think he looked more like us, a Mediterranean,
Like us.
So now it's like, yo, we gotta switch him up.
He shed his Mediterranean appearance, grew a beard, mounted a flying horse, rescheduled his flight for December, and donned heavy winter clothing.
Reschedule his flight. So now before it was Jesus was born here, whatever. So now this man rescheduled his flight. So now they rescheduled his flight. So now you see how it's all slowly starting to come together. So now they changed up his appearance, and now you see right there he had put on some heavy clothes now, because obviously he's up in the north. It's cold up there.
In a bid for pagan adherents in Northern Europe, the Catholic Church adopted the Nicholas cult and taught that he did, and they should, distribute gifts on December 25th instead of December 6th. In 1809, the novelist Washington Irving, most famous for The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Rip Van Winkle, wrote a satire of Dutch culture entitled Knickerbocker History. The satire refers several times to the white-bearded, flying horse-riding Saint Nicholas using his Dutch name, Santa Claus.
I don't know, Mo. You about to start a fight in the house.
Come on now. So now we don't slowly breaking it down or whatever. So now right there, oh, Santa Claus, Santa Claus. We know we got our youth coming up, whatever. Oh, Santa Claus, Santa Claus. That's a Dutch name. Now we went from Saint Nicholas to Santa Claus. You see how it keep changing and changing and changing to the point now you got to dig through all the garbage to get to the truth.
Yes, no.
Right there, you see how he transformed. Got a coat on now. Now he's riding a horse. But here he's still riding a horse. But we all know, Santa Claus, he rides reindeers, man. He got flying reindeers. We all know reindeers don't fly, whatever, but he can do it.
Dr. Clement Moore, a professor at Union Seminary, read Knickerbocker History, and in 1822, he published a poem based on the character Santa Claus. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in the hope that Saint Nicholas soon would be there. Moore innovated by portraying a Santa with 8 reindeer who descended through chimneys. The Bavarian illustrator Thomas Nast almost completed the modern picture of Santa Claus. From 1862 to 1886, based on Moore's poem, Nast drew more than 2,200 cartoon images of Santa for Harper's Weekly.
So now right there, so now how they technology gets into it more. So now there's over 2,000 images they put out there. So now everywhere you go, you see this image, you see this image, you see this image, you see this image. They programming the people like, this is what it is, this is what it is. It's almost like now, just like fast forward to like a radio program, whatever. You ever experienced like listen to the radio, like I don't even like that song, but yet somehow later on you down there, like some of the words, you know the words of the song. I know the words of the song, I don't even like it. You've been programmed, and they keep playing it. So now at this time the images all over the place, images. Now it's Santa Claus all over the place. So now, of course, you teach the kids, get a gift. What child is going to turn down the gift? Not too many people, adults going to turn down the gift. Especially if you striving, because nations up there, they wasn't living like that.
Before Nast, St. Nicholas had been pictured as everything from a stern-looking bishop to a gnome-like figure in a frock.
No, the gnome thing you see on people's lawns or whatever.
Cone head.
With the cone head. But now we already went to the cone head. That goes back to the Magi. Something different going to that another time. Go ahead.
Nast also gave Santa a home at the North Pole, his workshop filled with elves, and his list of the good and bad children of the world. All Santa was missing was his red outfit.
Where you get to that? Where you get to that? Now, of course, Saint Nick wasn't a saint. Took his bones from Turkey. They moved it over to Italy. Then from Italy, he started moving up north to try to bring in these pagan nations. But I already said before, they tried to bring these pagan nations. It wasn't working. They brought them in like, we're going to change these pagans. We're going to civilize them. Then they still doing their thing. To the point, Christians like, keep on, man. Keep on doing it, whatever. Just let it rock. So now he goes all the way up to the north. You see he changed, get rid of his Mediterranean look. You give him a beard, riding a horse, which we know later on switched to a reindeer. Now he's up at the North Pole. Now he got little elves. I don't know where these little elves came from, but now he got all these bunch of elves working in a slave shop, making toys all year round, so this man can go out and deliver it. So now, like I said, of course, we got everything down. So now let's get into this final part, like why he got a red coat.
In 1931, the Coca-Cola Corporation contracted the Swedish commercial artist Haddon Sundblom to create a Coke-drinking Santa. Sunblom modeled his Santa on his friend Lou Prentice, chosen for his cheerful, chubby face. The corporation insisted that Santa's fur-trimmed suit be bright, Coca-Cola red, and Santa was born, a blend of Christian crusader, pagan god, and commercial idol.
Of course, we already know, man. You know, Coca-Cola used to have Coke in it, too. So now you put this image of this person in it, go ahead and drink this drink, which has Coke in it. And now, because Coca-Cola, they want him to match their colors, whatever, now Santa Claus has a red Coke. Now, you see how we went through the transformation. Where we at? But that's it. So that's one of the main things I wanted to put on the minds, because obviously it's this time of year, and you know we around families. Give you something to talk about.
or beef about.
Hey man, you know, it's on you. You want to stand there and square, you know, hammering them with the truth. It's on you. But like I said, because you know, that's what we do. That's why I give honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Islam.
I give honors to the temple, honors to the Grand Sheik, because you know he knows how to spark that fire in this. Before I came to this temple, man, I'd have been out there going broke, buying gifts and all this and that. But honest, like I said, honest to the temple. Because now I know, like, we ain't doing that, man. Why we not doing that? And now I can go in. This is why we're not doing that. This is the pagan nation. We got other holidays that we celebrate.
Holy days.
Islam, that's right. January the 8th is our Moorish, what we consider our Moorish Christmas, because we honor the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Islam.
And that's every January the 8th. And then even like, you see how the Christian, how they twist things. We mentioned before, one of the books, they left out a lot of books. And one thing around this time, like, Hanukkah starts today. And that's a week-long festival. Some call it the Festival of Lights and all this and that, but they don't teach us, when they gave us the Bible, when they took out these missing books, they didn't teach us about Hanukkah. This is when you go into the Maccabees or whatever, these people was oppressed, and they finally fought their way out of it. And now this is a celebration of them fighting from getting out from being oppressed. That's a holiday if you choose. You can read about that in the Maccabees.
Islam.
But again, that's something I just wanted to put on the mind. Because like I said, you know, it's that time of year, and you know, watching all these people, even though I'm barely on social media, but then you see all this happy Christmas, this and that, it's like, oh, come on, man. You're killing me with this, man.
Christmas shopping done.
Yeah.
Tree
I don't
up.
care about all that, man. I don't care. That doesn't faze me none. Especially like now, we know the truth.
Islam.
Especially like now, you know all this or how Christmas started. And like I said, their scholars said, we don't know when this man was born. And that's what they do. They take a holiday, and they'll censor something around that and just try to use that to wean people in. But then after a while, they started bringing people in. Oh, no, you can keep that holiday. Sat there a whole week of lawlessness. You can do whatever you want for a whole week. Like I said, we already said in the movie The Purge, people like, oh, imagine a whole night just doing a whole week. Wickedness. But that's the end of my demonstration. So I'm going to step down. I'm going to get time for our Grand Sheik to come up. Oh, yeah.